is a post-Super Bowl in-game live. How are you? Matt Perrault, Dave Sharapan. You guys normally get us on Friday nights. You're getting us a whole 4 days earlier than normal as we'll go through all the NBA in action. College basketball, Duke and Wake at the break. I'm on Duke. We'll take a look at that a little bit. We've got Taylor Mathis checking in at some point here in the next couple of moments. But my friend, the Super Bowl came and went. Everyone has left our city, thankfully. I was driving the Strip today. It was easy. Unlike this weekend where you could not move driving on the Strip in Vegas. How are you on this Monday night?
Good. I haven't driven down there since Saturday.
Yeah.
So took a pass. Oh, no, actually, that's not true. I went down there Sunday, popped into a couple books, saw some people, got word from a dear friend that he had tickets and would I be interested in going? I said, I don't think so. No,
Negative.
I was good. Yep. So back home, watched the game with the kids, had a blast. I thought the game was good. I heard people talking about that it was a boring game and, you know, it was this, it was that. I didn't see that. I enjoyed the football game. I don't know if the commercials didn't really make an impact. I didn't pay that much attention to it. There was a couple I thought those were good. The game goes to overtime. Nobody really knows what to do. That was kind of fun. And then have you heard about the airport or anything today? Was it busy getting out? I haven't talked to one person today that left, so I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that. You always say the kids always know, so I asked my kids. I asked my students at UNLV what they thought of the game and what they thought of the broadcast and for the most part, they all hated the game. They thought it was boring.
Really?
There was one kid that was at the game. He went to the game, and he said the halftime show in person was awesome. He watched it on TV and thought it sucked. So he said it was a completely different experience live. Really? He said the energy in the building was completely different, but he said on television it did not come across at all. So, I don't know. And for the most part, everyone thought the commercials were like one or two that were good, and then everything else was kind of crap. And the first half put everyone to sleep. So I don't know. I'm used to that though. Like slow starting first halves. That's kind of a typical Super Bowl where it gets going in the second half. Well, if you're on the first half under, you loved it. If you were on the second half under, you hate it because it went to 24, closed at 23 and a half. The in game was 24. So it landed on that. So that kind of people were upset about that. But for the most part, I like the game a lot. It's an overtime Super Bowl. You can't ask for much more than that. But we did have a run-in. We did talk to Taylor Mathis live from our set. She's back home. We're back home. We can bring Taylor on. Taylor, how are you on this Monday night? How was traveling back to Phoenix?
I've got to say, I'm pretty glad to be home and away from all of the chaos that Vegas had throughout this entire week. Got a little bit of rest last night, but we're back to it today. But I'm glad to be home.
All right. The big story out of Phoenix is what happened with the waste management. Did you try to go anywhere near it yesterday, or did you stay far away? Do you know anybody who was because everyone is saying that was the biggest party, and the PGA Tour is very upset about that.
So I didn't get home yesterday until night. My flight out of Vegas was not until like 11 yesterday by the time I got home, get back from the airport. So I would have gone nowhere near that. And even if I wasn't in Vegas for the Super Bowl, I would have went nowhere near the Waste Management Open. I feel like I've been multiple times over the almost 7 years that I've lived here. It has changed already so much in just the 7 years that I lived here. It was still a huge party the first time I went, but I feel like every year it just keeps getting larger and larger. One thing, though, that I can't agree with, some of these golfers that are complaining about going and the atmosphere that was there at the Waste Management Open, they know that's what they're getting themselves into. The whole point of the tournament is it's supposed to be something a little bit different than what they're actually used to. If you're going to go golf Waste Management Open, you can't be upset and cry like a baby if things happen that you weren't expecting. I feel like some guys are just mad that they lost and they didn't get the checks that they normally do every year.
That happens. It's when you're not used to it. It's one of those things. I'm old enough to remember when I lived there, there was no grandstands. You just walked the golf course. It was a golf tournament. So if they're used to that, throwing them into that environment, that's a whole different thing. Taylor, I can't remember specifically Who did you pick to win the Super Bowl?
I picked the Chiefs. And I told you, Matt, to fade Kittle in this game. And I had a feeling he wasn't going to have a big one, and he did not. Big old 0. Big old goose egg.
I think we're going to hear in the next couple of days about Kittle having surgery on the shoulder, because he went into I think it was third quarter or early fourth quarter, went into the locker room to get, I think, the shoulder put back in, and then came back out. And I mean, I think everyone's hurt at that point in the game, but he was injured. Like he had a serious injury, and you could tell early in the game. I think he was just a decoy. I don't think he was even part of the game plan. I mean, it was crazy how they didn't. I think he had 2 targets the entire game, and one of it was a huge fourth down catch that he had to extend a drive. But you were right. No, I think that kept the drive alive. No, remember the first catch got called back. The second, the second catch that he did get, it was the fourth and 2 that he did extend the drive for them. But you were right. I mean, it was wild to watch. Coming out of the game, Taylor, what was your takeaway other than your bet cashing with the Chiefs winning?
My takeaway was the Chiefs are a dynasty. Patrick Mahomes may be the best quarterback we are ever going to see play in the National Football League. And the Chiefs are untouchable to me at this point. This was the year that other teams were saying we could beat the Chiefs. They had a lot of inconsistencies within that receiving core, and the defense was really the big narrative of this entire season. And again, so in this Super Bowl game, the defense did so much on the field, really on both sides for the 49ers and for the Chiefs. But you can't count the Chiefs out ever. It's clear as day right here that Patrick Mahomes uses what he sees within those first 4 quarters, and he's done it multiple times in a Super Bowl where he uses that in the fourth quarter and in overtime to do exactly what he needs to do with his offense and come away and win the game.
We learned something about so many different people in all of the interviews and things we did and in Media Row and all the shows. When you were on with us at the set, I learned something new about you, that you're a singer, that you actually sing. And so I was like, okay, she's got musical skills. This is good to know. T, what did you think of the halftime show? I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Too. I loved it. I loved Usher, and I wasn't expecting a lot. Like, I love Usher. He's pretty much what I grew up with when I was younger. I had his songs burnt on CDs when I drove around in high school. So I was excited for Usher, but I wasn't expecting a lot. The man can still move. He looks great. He can still sing. Alicia Keys sounded beautiful. Her was great on guitar. I had nothing to complain about.
Yeah, Luda saved the whole thing. First half of that thing was a snooze fest. They needed Luda, like the game. The halftime show was like the game. First half, snooze fest. Second half was good. We'll get more into the Super Bowl and take a look at action on the NBA slate coming up next. In-game live Monday night. Taylor, Matt, and Dave, don't move here on SportsGrid.
Kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
My goodness, if the Bucks come out strong and certainly make a point to say, look, even though we have been playing our best basketball, we're here to beat you down. And that's a big-time win for the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'll take 12 or more years of suffering the last
Take a look. Go look at it yourself. After Bear Bryant, all they did was lose.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback, backup
Perrault
quarterback.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports
That
Rage
was
late
better.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
You did.
information. Did like the 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
In-game live, Duke is hosting Wake. We're back to the number that the number closed at, 7.5. 7 most books for Duke at home up against Wake Forest. It's been a back-and-forth battle. It's a 33-29 lead for Duke. In-game live on a Monday night. Dave Sharapan, Matt Perrault, and Taylor Mathis with you guys. Putting a bow, if you will, on what happened yesterday with the Super Bowl and everything that goes into the pageantry, the halftime show, the Vegas experience. Taylor, did you have any trouble? Dave was mentioning it in the open about the airport. Was it crazy for you or was it pretty tame?
No, it was very tame when I was there Sunday afternoon. Everybody was pretty much getting in and out, at least at the terminal that I was at. The craziest thing I saw at the airport, I'm in my Lyft and we're driving like past the area where the planes are sitting. I don't know if it was some of the smaller planes, the private planes. There was a guy peeking into the fence with a camera. And I was like, he's definitely trying to take pictures of Taylor Swift and other people that are probably landing and stuff. And I was like, that is just weird and crazy that people care that much what other people are doing.
Yeah, I thought Taylor landed on Saturday, though, not Sunday. But yeah, I mean,
I don't know who he was looking for, but he was like in there with the camera trying to like pull the fence apart. And I was like, that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely had a Taylor takeover in terms of the paparazzi and the media and everything else. She was at the Resorts World Club Zouk first, and then she went to Excess across the street at Wynn, and everybody wanted to get a peek and a picture and a thought or a handshake or whatever on her. So I'm just glad that we can go. I mean, we'll see next year, I guess, how much Taylor has an influence on football. But I tell you what, Taylor, my 9-year-old, I put it all on Taylor, and I'm sure there's tons of 9-year-olds and 12-year-olds around the country who watched football over the weekend, or at least during this last 9 weeks, because of Taylor's influence. And I think from an NFL standpoint, I would be ecstatic if I was the league about having exposure like this, right?
I agree. The exposure that they're getting for women, for a younger generation and audience as well. And they're getting like the casual entertainment fan that are just tuning in just to try to get a glimpse of Taylor, what's going to happen with her and Travis Kelce. If I were the NFL, I would be very happy with all the money that she's bringing in for them.
I had the opposite. I had the 10-year-old rooting against the whole thing. She doesn't believe in any of it. And she was rooting for the Niners because she wanted to see it not happen for the Chiefs, because the rest of the house is all Chiefs fans. So she was going around, Taylor, my little one, the 10-year-old, she bet the grandmother, she bet her mom, and she bet her sister. And she said, the Niners are going to win. And I had to back her. I said, you can make however many bets you want. I got you. If you lose, I'll cover it. If you win, you can keep it. So we had fun watching it. And
that's fun.
I think what happens, and like we went to the experience, I went myself because I'm a big kid and the kids didn't want to fight the traffic because they're Vegas kids and they can't be inconvenienced about sitting in traffic. They're all very busy. But it was geared, Perrault, it was geared, there were kids there of all ages, but all that stuff they did, that obstacle course, the running the 40, the throwing the passes, kicking the field goals, that's for the kids. That's not for us, although I did do all of that.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, this is where my daughter, and I give Taylor a ton of credit for this because, my daughter liked football, but she said to me, I'd watch more of it if I understood more about it. Can you explain more? She was like, I want the lingo. Tell me the lingo. So I started to teach her different terms in different situations. And then, I said, do you want to go to the experience? And she was like, absolutely. And then she saw like these bedazzled helmets and she was like, those things are so cool. So she wanted to go see those things. They had all the rings that were there. She wanted to see the rings. She wanted to see the trophy. She wanted to see all that stuff. And then when we got there, I was stunned because she was like, I'm gonna beat you in the 40. I was like, wait, what? It's like, you've never raced me before in your life. I was like, where did this come from? She's like, I'm gonna beat you in the 40. I was like, okay, let's go. And then I kind of like jogged it in like I beat her by like a half a step in the 40. And then she's like, all right, we're doing the obstacle course. We did the obstacle course, and this guy decked me with one of those like moving, like, I don't know what you want to call them, like punching bag to the move, hit me, and she beat me there, and she was all ecstatic that she beat me in the obstacle course. So she was all like, ha ha, I beat you. So like I gave Taylor Swift a lot of credit. People talked a lot of crap about Taylor, and I think there's a whole swath of young people, and maybe young girls, but young people who are now at least taking a look at the NFL. And look, was that a mastermind move by the NFL? Was that some calculated decision by Taylor? I don't know. I don't really care at this point because it's done with now. And now it's about, whether this Chief team can go and win 3 in a row. They've won 2, first time in 20 years. There are 2 things I said preseason I did not think it was going to happen, that the Eagles were not going to repeat as NFC East champs because that hadn't happened in 20 years, and the Chiefs weren't going to repeat. I was right on the first, wrong on the second. And look, that game had so many twists and turns. It could have gone either way. And that's why I thought it was a good game, because it kept me interested and locked in. And I don't know, it's overtime. I don't get how you can say the game was bad. I mean, the game, there's all this controversy about who made what decision when, and the extra point that got missed by Moody. I don't know. The books got killed with overtime props. But other than that, I thought the game was really fun.
I thought that the game was a blast. The beginning started slow, but if you're a true football fan and you understand that defenses win games, I feel like you appreciate the first half, and then you love what happened in the second half with how close they were able to keep it, and both of the offenses stepping up a little bit and going to overtime. You can't ask for a better Super Bowl, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. And look, I think, Dave, we talked about this a bit on BVB, but the people who are crying the loudest today are the bookmakers as to what happened across the board, because the bookmakers got housed.
It's one of those things that, like, I had reached out to a couple people to possibly come on the show today to talk about the game and what happened. And they're like, you know what? I'm taking a day off. I really don't want to talk about it. I totally understand. Those interviews aren't, that's like, interviewing the team that lost a big game like that. This is the day, the biggest single day of handle of the whole year. And to have it be a nondescript figure, a red figure, it's just a bummer. So nobody really wanted to talk about it. T, what do you move on to now? Like, all of the hype and all of this stuff that we do with football, this is one of those days that, like, I used to just go, catch my breath. It's All-Star week for NBA. All-Star weekend is this weekend. But, like, what do you do on Monday, the day after the Super Bowl?
I got spring training out here in about 2 weeks in Arizona. So I'm getting my baseball hats out. I'm ready to go to the Diamond. I will be at so many spring training games this season. So I'm gearing up for baseball now.
Yeah, and look, Ohtani took BP for the first time in a Dodger uniform today, took 21 swings, hit 10 home runs. I think the elbow's okay. So I think it's going to be, if you're worried about Ohtani, him as a hitter, sounds like Ohtani's going to be okay. So it's going to be the Ohtani show again, but this time in Los Angeles. And it was funny because I was talking to Michael Duarte, who works for KNBC in Los Angeles on Radio Row, and I had never met him in person. He's one of these people that I had interviewed for years on radio, but never actually met the guy. And he walked up to me, and I asked him, I was like, how different is it to have him in the market, but now with the Dodgers? He goes, Orange County is not L.A. People need to stop saying this, okay? Just because he played for the Angels got nothing to do with the Dodgers. You guys haven't seen anything yet as to what they're going to do. There's thoughts that they may have to have a whole separate press box for the Japanese media at Dodger Park for the Dodgers, because the press box is small as is, and there are over 30 media members who are coming full time to cover the whole year from Japan just for Ohtani. So awesome. We haven't seen. Yeah, it's going to be something else when it comes to Dodger Mania this year. And Dodger Stadium is going to be pretty wild to watch. So, yeah, get spring training ready. And if you don't like the Dodgers, you may not like this baseball season. It's going to be a whole lot of L.A. Taylor, Matt, and Dave, we got a lot more to come. We'll take a look at the NBA coming up on the other side. In-game live on a Monday night.
Thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
My goodness, if the Bucs come out strong and certainly make a point to say, look, even though we have been playing our best basketball, we're here to beat you down. And that's a big-time win for the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'll say 12 or more years of suffering. The last, take a look. Go look at it yourself. After Bear Bryant, all they did was lose.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy.
The Early Line.
And what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Perrault Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live,
Just
prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
good betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
In game on a Monday. Taylor Mathis, Dave Sharapan, Matt Perrault with you here on SportsGrid, going through the slate. We just talked a little football with the Super Bowl and the Chiefs winning. Right now in action, guys, we got the Charlotte Hornets leading the Pacers 52-49. The live total of this game is down to 210.5. Ooh. Dave, what is the deal with the Pacers? Like, it was 238.5. The number closed at. It feels like the books keep on thinking the Pacers are going to play up-tempo and fast, and yes, they have at times, but really since that injury for Halliburton, this team has been an under team.
Changed.
Been an under team in general, but specifically, they're an enigma. Like, you make the number, and it's nowhere close. The number never falls anywhere. It's 20 points below, 20 points above. The in-game number fluctuate 30 points in a game. That's not – it's just one of the mysteries. There's one or two teams that will get the odds makers like this in the NBA especially, the ups and the downs, and you just can't get it right. You make it too low, you get all over bets. That's a game they score almost 300. Then you move it up or you keep it up there, and they go under, and you don't believe it, so you don't move it. Listen, this week is really, really hard. One, everybody that's been working is off this week. The Super Bowl's done, so you get a lot of the rookies, young guys, and different people doing this that are probably getting a first shot at it. And number two, it's All-Star week. Like, who knows who's doing what, who's getting ready for what plans and all that other stuff. So I think there's a big pause in all of it. I think you got to be a little bit hesitant looking at it to bet, too. I think in-game is better than ever this week. I wouldn't be making too many pregame bets. It'd be all in-game stuff for me.
So, like the Sixers were 10-point dogs at close tonight. They're down 1, 77-76 here, no pun. With 7 to play in the third quarter, live line 7.5 here with this one. Taylor, are you looking at any props tonight, or do you have anything you like tonight? Because the Sixers we've talked about this. The Sixers are crazy without. Embiid being out means basically the season's over for Philadelphia, but they're hanging tough tonight.
Yeah, I do have one play and a little same game parlay I want to give out before this game gets started, which is that Wizards-Mavs game. I'm looking to Tim Hardaway Jr. over 13.5 total points. This match is completely not equal on both sides. Dallas is going for their 5th straight win, and they're in a playoff position in the West, while the Wizards are the second worst team in the NBA. They only have 9 wins this season. To believe that there's somebody worse than them is actually ridiculous, but there is. The Mavs' last 3 out of their 4 wins have come against squads with winning records. Mavs Luka Doncic averaging over 31 points a game, and Kyrie Irving 25 through this stretch. Both are listed as game time decisions. I'm not sure if they've decided if they're playing with the All-Star game coming up as well. Something tells me that I think that one of them or both of them might sit, and a break may be needed against lowly Washington. That's why I'm going with Hardaway to step up for more scoring opportunities in this game to go over 13.5 total points. I also have a little same game parlay to go along with that. I took Dallas on the money line to get their 5th straight win. Give me Hardaway Jr. over those 13.5 total points. And then I've got their new pickup, Daniel Gafford, over on his prop of rebounds at 6.5 right now.
A little plus 213 action on that same game. 12. I mean, some of these numbers, laying 12. I know the Wizards are bad, Dave, but would you lay 12 with the Mavs here at home tonight?
Hard to lay anything more than 6 this week with anything. I don't even know. It'd be one of those ones you just take dog. I mean, the books will likely need every single dog you go through the schedule tonight. So, no. I mean, look at that, 85%. Say 85% to win as Smart Moves projection is? Yeah, Dallas by 12. You get conditioned when you go in the work at a book. You need the bad teams. But, like, the All-Star break is a welcome thing for books right now. Like, again, we need the Wizards again. We played 50 games, and you probably needed the Wizards 48 of them. So tonight would fall right in that, you go in and you're like, oh, guess what? We need the Wizards again. Yeah, surprise. Make it 12. Nobody will bet them. What do we do? Root for them to lose by 10? I think Dallas will be in every money line parlay. I mean, it's in T's same game parlay. I can't blame you and say it's a bad thing because they're going to win. The books go into, like tonight, you look at the board, right? Full slate. You need one dog to win the game. Right now, could be Philadelphia. Right? They're hanging. That was another big spread game where you're going,
dogs.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that yours?
It's
I'm
mine.
upset with me late night show.
It's Taylor's house. Shocking, it's not my dog. So it's first time it's not my dog, but dogs are barking tonight in the NBA. So that's what they're saying. They heard us talking.
Perfect timing. Dogs answer.
It's perfect timing. It's 48-43. Duke is up by 5 over Wake Forest. 7.5 is the number at FanDuel. So it's pretty much there still. That's going to be literally a game that's going to hang on one possession at the end of the game, whether or not Duke is going to cover or not. The other game in college worth talking about, TCU is up by 3, 20-17, but the number is still 12.5, which is surprising, but kind of a look at where West Virginia is right here. Not that great team in the Big 12. And then the late game, obviously, is the big one. Kansas on the road against Texas Tech. That number has slowly been climbing up due to the fact that you're not going to have McCullers for Kansas for a second straight game. So you're missing one of the best players for KU. So I don't know. I mean, Dave, you said, I asked you this question earlier, but like, I'm just surprised that both leagues, the NBA and the NHL, didn't like load up here tonight on a Monday to give us like incredible games after the Super Bowl, because everyone's just like looking around like, okay, what's next? And it feels like it's a thud at the end of the football season.
Well, there's 10 NBA games on a Monday. That's good.
Yeah, but none of them are like
one of the
marquee.
leagues.
They're not very exciting, though. Bucks and the Nuggets is probably the best game on the slate.
What are you saying? New York and Houston is not exciting.
Ooh.
Philadelphia and Cleveland, not exciting. Minnesota and the Clippers.
Cleveland is not exciting when Embiid's not
it's a
playing.
10-point line, Dave. Come on.
They didn't know Embiid and Maxey weren't going to play. They had it set up. Golden State and Utah tonight later. That one's not really it. But look at the Minnesota and Clippers game.
Okay, I take that back. T-Wolves and the Clippers is going to be a good game. I'll give you that. That's fair enough.
That's the game of the night as far as the Western Conference. Okay. I mean,
it is.
It's a Western Conference Finals preview. You two, like, you can't get them all right all the time. It is.
Is it really though?
No.
I think the Clippers are winning the West, so I'll agree on half of it.
I'm not.
Who are they playing?
Right.
Denver.
She's right.
She's right. Denver for the West.
I was Denver and LA.
Yeah. Quick check at hockey, by the way. It's 3-0 Devils in the second period against the Kraken. So they're all over Seattle. 1-0 Rangers over the Flames. That game in the second period. 2-2 Arizona on the road against the Flyers. But the Wild and the Golden Knights. That's the game of the night here on the West Coast, but also I think in the NHL here. 5.5, Dave? 5.5? Really? That seemed low, no?
Who's playing goal? Is it because Flowers returning to the Fortress, and I don't think he's playing. Fleury in Minnesota went to Pittsburgh, and they didn't play Fleury.
Right.
And now he's coming back to Vegas.
It's Gustafson against Hill.
Yeah.
No Flower.
This is one of those games I wanted to see him play. Him play. But I don't know, 5.5 is the right number, isn't it? I mean, you make it 6 and you're going to all get all under bets. So I think you move it to 5.5 with overjuiced and hope it finishes 3-2. It's amazing the difference between betting 6 and 5.5. A lot of people will just not bet it, or they'll flip their opinion and go over because it's 5.5 when the real score is likely 3-2 or 3-1. So I don't know. First thought there is under, but I mean,
over.
Oh,
Gustafson over. Yeah. Over. I don't. Gustafson, no. I know over. 4-2 win for the Knights. Maybe you might need the open net, but I would go 4-2 for the Knights tonight.
Okay.
The Knights are getting healthy. What's going to be fun about this next couple of weeks is that the Knights are getting Carlson back. They're getting Pietrangelo back. Knights are getting healthy. They stunk for the entire not the entire month of January, but they weren't good in January. They really had a tough time. Both Hill was out. He was struggling. They were bringing up, AAA goaltenders to come up and play. Now they're getting healthy at the right time. Did the Oilers peak too early?
Oh my goodness! Would you stop? It's
I was asking.
Just the February. No, they didn't peak too early.
16 games in a row.
They
really
did,
early.
And they came to
really
Vegas
early.
and lost.
They did.
That's one of those situations. Yeah, they'll be fine. Listen, everything's going to be fine. There's a lot of things that are going to happen between now and the playoffs. I think we've got to start looking at futures. I think we've got to start looking at winning conference prices. I'm already put out the APB for the exacta prices, trying to figure out which teams are going to do this. I think we may be heading down Taylor's way to see some games at Arizona. Might be good. T, have you been there yet? Have you been to a Coyotes game yet?
No. All right, that's going to be my assignment in this new year. I'm going to go to a Coyotes game and report back what it's actually like going to a Coyotes game in Arizona.
Down. Yeah, that sounds like
we'll
a plan.
Come with you. 5,000 people at a hockey game in the NHL. Sign me up. Right? I mean, I think it sounds
right.
It sounds absolutely awesome. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. We'll look at the college basketball slate, NBA as well. Taylor, Matt, and Dave, don't move. More to come on a Monday night here on SportsGrid.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
My goodness, if the Bucks come out strong and certainly make a point to say, look, even though we have been playing our best basketball, we're here to beat you down. And that's a big-time win for the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'll say 12 or more years of suffering. The last, take a look. Go look at it yourself. After Bear Bryant, all they did was lose.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy.
The Early Line.
And what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback,
Perrault Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
better.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We
consideration. Did like the 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's a Monday night. Taylor, Matt, and Dave with you here on Sports Grid. Take a look at some NBA action here in just 1 second. Taylor, you actually have an interesting perspective because you came up for F1 for the race here in Vegas. Compare and contrast the Super Bowl for Vegas versus the F1 race for Vegas. Any comparison? Any big differences?
Tons. First of all, I would say that if I had to pick, the Super Bowl wins over F1 in my eyes. The city seemed more prepared for the Super Bowl than they did for F1. The traffic was much worse for F1, and that's probably because there were a lot of street closures due to the track. So that makes a little bit more sense, but the traffic was terrible during F1. I didn't think it was as bad for the Super Bowl at all. And I gotta say, I think that the city of Vegas expected a lot more people for F1. And in my eyes, to me, looking at where I was on the strip with both of these, there were way more people there for the Super Bowl than there were for F1. So I think there were a lot of differences. Overall, I found the Super Bowl to be more enjoyable than F1. Bad weather, though, on both occasions. Cold and rainy, both times.
It's your fault. It's all you, Taylor.
It is.
You bring the cold and rain.
Her.
Every time.
It wasn't Taylor's fault.
We established this on BVB. We established this.
We did.
She's Elsa.
I must
She's
bring
Elsa.
the bad weather.
Oh, we did say that. You're right.
Yeah.
We did say that. You're right. Okay, that's fair. But it was fun. I mean, the signage, the different things, they compare the two. The F1 felt like not visitors, like invading the city, but the NFL embraced the whole thing and made Vegas like the shine. I felt like it was just a showcase because they know they're coming back. We have to get this thing right. I think everything went relatively smooth, and having the media be, I think for the most part, other than the weather, everybody was happy with the accommodations, with the getting in between shows and the different things. So I don't know. I thought it came off pretty positive. I was pretty excited. I'm glad everybody left, though, T. I got to be honest. Like, there was just too many people here. And all the calls and the texts and the different things. It was great to see everybody. But, like, we need a week to just kind of go, whew, okay.
Breathe.
Catch your breath.
It's the same, though,
like, I got a
in
pile
Arizona
of
right now.
Oh, really?
Well, when I landed here, the amount of people at Sky Harbor Airport leaving because of the open and going back home, the departing flights, it was crazy in the Sky Harbor Airport. It was absolutely nuts. There were people everywhere. I actually heard that at the open, at one point, there were over 500,000 people on the course on Saturday within that,
I believe
that area. That's a lot of people in one area.
I mean, they cut off liquor sales. They stopped selling booze.
Well, I got the whole inside scoop on all of that, of why that happened and why everything went the way they did. Essentially, what I heard is that the people at the front gates just stopped checking tickets for Saturday, and they started just letting everybody in. With that, more people then ended up sneaking in or finessing their way into VIP sections that they weren't supposed to. Therefore, a lot more people that did not have free liquor wristbands were then getting free alcohol. And pretty soon, all of the tented areas were just giving everybody that were within that area free alcohol. And so it was a big mistake on all of the workers' part within the Waste Management Open. I don't know how whoever ran the Waste Management Open got to all these bar areas so quickly, but they stopped serving food and liquor. So it was everything. And therefore, it shoved a lot of people out. And I think it made it more manageable for them at the end of the day because they still had Bird's Nest at night and Kygo performed, and it was packed. I mean, majority of my friends were all at Kygo or were at the Waste Management Open on Saturday. So I saw a lot of inside stories of people's posts on social media. So they must have figured it out by nighttime and for Sunday.
Yeah, I think I watched so many videos of like drunk dads fighting over nothing. And it was, I don't know what it was. It was a bunch of like 45-year-old guys my age rolling around in the dirt, getting fights, getting into arguments in the mud, and getting all their all their pastel colors all dirty and whatnot. It was like they wanted that. Like the Waste Management wants this type of party atmosphere, but I feel like they only want it on the 16th hole. Like they want it in the grandstands, and it spilled out all over the golf course.
Well, if people were walking in without passes, that's a big deal, right? That's a big deal. You can't get on that course without a pass. Like I said, I was there when there was no grandstands. I watched it grow, and then I moved away. I've only been back once in the past, I think, 12 years was the last time I was actually at it. But you watch it on TV, I don't recognize it. I cannot believe what they've built. My sisters live down there. My brother-in-law goes every year, and I get asked, and I'm like, we're doing the Super Bowl stuff. Last year, had opportunity to go and go, if they let people in without checking the wristbands, that's like opening up the gates and saying, storm the castle. They're in. They're going to grab everything they can get.
They're going to make some big changes, I've heard, heading into next year regarding the Open. I think there's going to be a big difference with probably the way they're checking tickets or the way you're getting your tickets and your wristbands. Oh, yeah. At one point, all wristbands were physical. And last year I did go to the Open. Everything was done on your phone. I don't know if maybe they go back to mailing out physical wristbands. That way people can't just sneak in. But also, I guess it kind of comes down to the people that were working the event. At some point, like, stop letting just everybody go in. It's going to cause a huge commotion. Which it did.
Right. Yeah.
Did you guys see the girl that fell off the grandstands? A girl fell off the grandstands on the 16th hole, and then all the guys were throwing beer cans on her and pouring beer like down on her. And I was like, that's too much for me. I don't know. I don't think that atmosphere and environment, it goes past the point of a little bit of partying to me, and it got a little sloppy from what I saw.
Right. And the PGA will quickly, I mean, you mentioned it earlier in the show about the golfers who were upset, but there were numerous confrontations with golfers, with gallery members, telling them essentially to be quiet. Like, this is not, I think it was Billy Horschel who said, I'm at work. I don't come to your job and yell. Don't go to my job and yell, which I understand. Maybe it's a little bit of a crybaby type of atmosphere, but like, it's one thing if a couple of holes are crazy and rowdy. It's a different story if the entire golf course is filled up with just nonsense and drunk people everywhere. So I see kind of both sides, but the PGA Tour, they're going to make some big changes next year. It's probably not going to be the same type of party. Alcohol sales might be a bit more on the conservative side going forward.
They're just going to check the. They're going to limit the people. Yeah, I don't know if they'll limit the sales. They'll just limit the people. They want the sales to keep going. Listen, they're making Perrault. They're making ways of going to sell alcohol at more college events. You always talk about how Creighton was always a big thing. I think it's a matter of crowd control rather than alcohol control. And then it's only a matter of time. Golf betting isn't big enough. Otherwise, they probably would have blamed it on the golf betting. Guys yelling at golfers and things like that. He made him miss a putt, and, it's all because of the betting. I mean, there's a big thing right there. I haven't been there yet.
Right.
T, have you been to the DraftKings book that's at
I haven't.
TPC? Okay.
No, I haven't been there yet. I've been to all the other ones within Arizona because you've got BetMGM over by the Cardinals. You've got the FanDuel one with the Suns. Yeah. You have Caesars with the Diamondbacks. So almost every single area now has a betting affiliate related to it in Arizona. I've been to all of them besides that one. I'll make my way there soon.
Yeah.
Interesting. Back to the NBA guys for a second. The Rockets are up 39-28 on the Knicks. 8.5 is the live number. Do you guys have any explanation as to why the Rockets can beat anybody at home and nobody on the road?
I don't.
I'm just asking.
I can tell you this. This wasn't one that you would see coming, right? Although the line would tell you overnight 5, close pick. I got guys watching the show right now, Mario and Nick, the boys, they're Knicks fans. Sorry, fellas. This is one of those ones where, it's going to be one of those nights. I think this is one of those weeks where you have to look and see these games before everybody heads off to Indianapolis. And my guy Mario, fraternity brother of mine from Penn State, is going. Perrault, he reached out to me today. He said he saw the show a little bit and said, I don't think we can meet up in Indianapolis. I don't think me and you can get there. but
no,
it's a favorite type of week where they lose. I think you got to look for every single reason to take a dog this week.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the Sixers would be a prime example of that. They were 10-point dogs. They're down by 1 to start the fourth quarter. So,
yep.
I mean, you can factor in kind of with that. But look, the NBA this year, I did really well in the NBA betting last year. It was one of my favorite sports to bet. And I am crushing college basketball, and I cannot get an NBA bet right to save my life. It's unbelievable. I just stopped betting it. I was like, I'm not seeing the board right, the game's right, nothing. I just, the handicap, it's been one of the crazier years. Unders, overs, dogs, favorites. I mean, maybe it'll stabilize a little bit in the second half of the year, but I'm extraordinarily frustrated betting the NBA. I'll watch it, pay attention to it, but it's been a really crazy year. I mean, Dave, are the Knicks the second best team in the East? Are you really going to stand on that?
Cavs.
Well, it's not the
Cavs.
See, the Cavs. See, T's watching the games too. Like that's one of those things. We're looking. T, aren't you looking for someone other than Milwaukee? That's what.
Of course,
I'm doing.
I'm looking for somebody other than. Yeah, I agree. I think it's the Cavs. I do. I think the Cavs are the second best team in the East. I don't think the Bucks are figuring it out right now. They weren't figuring it out before Doc Rivers. I don't know how much it's looked that different since he's come to the team. So I'm looking to somebody else. I like the Cavs. I like the way the Cavs are playing right now. I believe currently they sit second in the East behind the Celtics. Or maybe it's the Bucks then the Cavs.
I think they're right behind
odds-wise,
the Bucks, actually.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
right there.
Look, yeah.
What are you going to do? Make the case? I mean, we know it's the Celtics, all right? Well, like before we start with the Celtics,
I hate it. But I hate it.
What?
I hate that it's just like Boston and nobody else. I hate it. It's set up for failure.
It's boring. The West is so tight, and the East is not. I mean, you've got 4 teams that are all a half game back from first in the West behind the Timberwolves. It's crazy. And then you've got the Suns that are like 5.5 games back.
And the Lakers are a team that you have to go. I mean, they're 33-1 to win the West.
To win the West. Look at that.
33-1. The 33-1. I mean, it's nuts.
I love it.
Really
actually.
is crazy.
It's new blood. It's coming. Like you can see these teams getting better right before our eyes. Oklahoma City Thunder, fun team to watch. Nobody's taking them seriously, and there's value on their futures. They're a team that I think is another one that is hard to make the number for on a daily basis because they just keep winning when you're going, are they really that good? So I don't know. There's the West is way better. You're right, T.
Hit on more on that coming up on their side. Taylor, Dave, and Matt in-game live here on SportsGrid on Monday night.
Thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
My goodness, if the Bucks come out strong and certainly make a point to say, look, even though we have been playing our best basketball, we're here to beat you down. And that's a big-time win for the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'll say suffering the last. Take a look. Go look at it yourself. After Bear Bryant, all they did was lose.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman
The
Trophy
early
race
line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon, not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback, backup
Perrault
quarterback.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
You
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was good
late
betting.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We did.
information. Did like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting, ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
In-game live on a Monday night. Dave Sharapan, Matt Perrault, Taylor Mathis with you guys here on SportsGrid. Taylor, before we get to the top of the hour, you got a couple of props you want to give out here to the folks. Going to happen here for the NBA?
I sure do. I'm going to start with that Golden State Jazz game. We're talking about the fact that we should be looking at these games a little bit differently because of the All-Star break. I did the same with my props. They're a little bit more obscure, I guess, than I would necessarily normally go to. I'm starting with Brandon Pajemski over on his, I lost my place for a second. I went
Assists.
over on his assists. 4.5 points, 4.5 assists there for him tonight. And then I'm looking also to the Clippers in the Timberwolves game. I put together a little same game parlay, or you can play both of the plays straight. I'm looking at both centers on both teams. We're going to go with Clippers, Ivica Zubac over his line of 6.5 rebounds. If you can still get that, I did give that number to our producer there, Jack, earlier in the day. I did see it at 7.5 now, so I'm not sure if you can still get it at that 6.5. And then I'm going with the Timberwolves center, Rudy Gobert, over 12.5 rebounds as well. He's dominated Zubac since 2021. He's gone over this line in every single game and averaging almost 15 boards when he's playing the Clippers. So I love the over on both of those guys tonight.
Interesting. Over on the game? Total over? Dave, like the over?
I haven't looked at what the total was set at.
Let me take a quick look here right now. About 240. Wow. Highest total. No, the second highest total of the night. Okay.
That is high.
Yeah, I have no opinion. This is one of those ones. Just get some sleep, T. Go enjoy the game.
I know.
You know, get a nice book, some hot chocolate. Rest your
I got
throat, and
cheerleading
just
practice tomorrow. I'm back on my cheer grind now. After
Let's
this.
go. Let's go. High school football season's right around the corner. Got to get going. Spring ball as well. Taylor, thank you for joining. We appreciate it. It's a buy and a high. Don't move. Matt and Dave are coming right back for hour 2 in-game live here on a Monday.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
In-game live Monday night. What's up? Matt and Dave with you. Sharapan and Perrault. Normally we're on Friday. We're on a Monday. How are you? Thanks for being here. Hour 2 for us. Taylor Mathis hung out for the whole first hour. We get to look at college and NBA basketball for this hour, Dave, a little hockey as well. And it's a 5-point lead for Duke. Free throws coming for the Blue Devils. $1.50 to play. I laid 7. This is going to be a complete and utter sweat all the way down to the end. Wake won't stop hitting shots, Dave. Need the Demon Deacons to stop hitting jumpers. Hit like 50 in the second half.
I missed you so much that when we do the in-game live and in the commercial breaks, you yell at the TV and Jack and I hear you. And I'm like watching it, thinking it. And then you go, man, they just won't miss shots. And I was thinking that was another shot. They won't go away. This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6, you lose. 7, you push. 8, you win. So it's going to come down to the end unless you get like a foul situation, a double foul, something to happen, with a turnover. Wake is well coached. You can tell they're right there. I don't think they're going to beat themselves. So, yeah, you're going to need a defensive stop or two. Listen, this is what we're going to do now for the next month. Sweat conference games. The numbers get harder. This is when the odds makers are paying the most attention, right? We got a light card on Monday night. The next game for these two, that number is going to be razor sharp. So I don't know. We'll watch it. There's a good conference game coming up tonight in the Big 12. What happened?
Ticky-tack foul. Just stuff that just is nonsense foul it's a 7-point lead, 72-65 with $1.31 to play in the game and gone a hand check foul on Duke to give him free throws. So John Shire's about to lose his mind. So we'll see how this whole game goes. But this is going to be literally, you're right, 6, 7, or 8. It's going to come right down to it. I knew it when I bet it was going to be because the line didn't move. So I was like, okay, so there's two-way action. Is a hand check, ticky-tack to give 2 free throws to the best free throw shooting team in college basketball, by the way. Wake is the best free throw shooting team in college basketball. So always hard to fade a team. Yes, it is.
We got to remember that. I think that's one of the things that I like to look at. I know one of the guys I used to call him Picasso or Michelangelo. I can't remember. These guys that do the basketball numbers. They're artists. They have to do these power ratings for so many teams. I said, tell me which ones hit free throws. Hitting free throws is such an important thing in the conference tournaments and then a possible March run. They're a team that won't go away. So that's good to know about that. Yeah. All right, so get distracted for a second. Let's go to the Big 12. West Virginia's playing TCU right now.
Yep.
That was a number that you got the numbers on West Virginia away from home.
2-7 ATS. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. I mean, they can't. They just. They're. I mean, it's headed that way. It started a little slow, but what are we now? We're at a 47-35 halftime score. So I mean, we're on. Yeah, we're on our way to a blowout. But I mean, look, West Virginia is a team that they went through a little bit of an upswing about a month ago, and they beat Kansas at home. And they went and they beat Cincinnati, and you're like, okay, have they fixed it? Well, they lost by 36 on the road to Texas in their last game, and then they lost to BYU by 13 at home as 7-point dogs. So TCU has lost back-to-back games by double digits to Iowa State on the road and Texas at home. And so I was like, I laid the 12.5 as a bounce-back spot for TCU because they need it. I mean, flat out, they need it. So, I mean, and look, the late game, Kansas at Texas Tech, KU is a totally different team away from Fog Island. And they're not going to have McCullers again. They lost on the road at Kansas State. They lost on the road at Iowa State. They lost on the road at West Virginia. They lost on the road to Central Florida. Yeah, they beat one win against Oklahoma State on the road. They laid 7. They won by 24. But they're 1-4 on the road straight up in the Big 12 so far. It is so darn hard to win a game on the road in conference right now.
It really is. I mean, just in general, it was earlier in the season before they started playing conference games, started to say it. I've been saying it for a decade. I don't know when it swung, but good college basketball teams used to play really well at home, win and cover, and then go on the road and win. That's why you see short favorites on the road, because they used to be able to do it. Now, when you see a game where Kansas is, fourth or fifth in the country in the rankings, and Texas Tech is on maybe the bottom of the top 25. They're 23 in the country. Okay. So, and they're favored because winning on the road is so hard. So that happens all the time. I used to tell people for years in the book, don't look at the rankings on the left. Look at the point spread on the right, on the sheets.
Right.
Because that's really what matters. And we talked about it earlier today. We'll talk about it again coming up. I like Texas Tech in the game. At this point.
I laid 2.
Right.
It's now 3.5. So it's 74-69, and Wake is not going to foul. Oh my gosh, they got a turnover. Oh, there goes that cover. Okay, that's dead. They had a chance. They tried to foul. They shot a 3 and they missed it, and they got the offensive rebound. Oh my goodness gracious. Another 3 goes up and they missed it again. Oh my gosh. And they're not going to foul? And finally they do foul. So 27.8 seconds to go. It's 74-69. I laid 7. I think it's Filipowski to the line. He's not a good free throw shooter, so that's going to be somewhat problematic. The second Wake player has now fouled out of this game. So if Filipowski hits both, it's a 7-point lead, and most likely they're going to go for a 2, but we'll see what Wake winds up doing here. It's going to fall 6, 7, or 8. I mean, it's really ridiculous. It's not Filipowski. Okay, is it Mitchell? Who's shooting the free throws? It's Mitchell. Okay, he's much better. He's 3 for 6, not much better, but he's got to come up with a couple of clutch free throws, and he missed the front end. So there we go with that. So then now we're dead. So we'll see if I can get a push out of this potentially. But
see what this is doing here, Jack. For those of you watching at home, he says they're dead multiple times, over and over and over, trying to reverse jinx it, but he doesn't believe it jinxes or mushes.
No.
So no.
Hit one of 2. It's 75-69 with 27 seconds to go. So you have Wake going for a 2 or a 3, and he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
So you're up.
I am on a cover, up by 8. Can we avoid it? Jack 3. Wait. They called a hand check foul.
Oh, foul!
Free throws coming.
Foul.
Brutal. We'll find out what happens on my bet coming up on the other side. Oh my gosh, how about that? 77-69, 10 seconds to play. Can Duke cover 7? We'll find out next year. In-game live on SportsGrid. Are you kidding me?
Super Bowl is set in Vegas. We get a rematch from just a few years ago.
The only consistency in the playoffs has been Travis Kelce.
Brock Purdy, back-to-back weeks throwing 1 touchdown pass, right? You can't win MVP with 1 touchdown pass. I hate the Chiefs, but I bet on them.
This is going to be a game that is played inside a field goal now from a spread perspective.
All that matters is there's 1 game left. The big game.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Purdue on the road in a very difficult place to win in Piscataway, New Jersey. Not in Jersey Mike's Arena, but in the rack. And it was tight.
You still have to win these games. Like, you can talk about even equate it to the NBA. Like OKC just rolling into Detroit, going, this is going to be an easy victory, and not coming away with the W because you're not focused here. Good move there for the Purdue Boilermakers. You can take a look at Zach Edey.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The big news here. A big push for Georgia to get things going as far as legalized sports betting. And Pat, I don't want to get people too excited. It's not like this is happening this year.
The Senate version and the House version, and then they're going to have to get a couple of people from each chamber together and kind of wrestle out the details of what exactly sports betting in Georgia might look like.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
I can tell you, like, Las Vegas is heavy San Francisco territory. All right, there are a ton of Niner fans, man, in Las Vegas and in Nevada, and specifically Reno. Reno's close, obviously, right? So, like, Reno's numbers will be a little bit different. But the total of 47.5. I get it.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback,
Perrault,
backup quarterback.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
I
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was good
Late
betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We
for
did.
information. Did like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's Bedlam in Texas Tech in Lubbock. In-game live, it's an 8-4 now. 8-2 start for Texas Tech. Rocking atmosphere. It's a whiteout for KU going in to that building. In-game live, Matt and Dave with you here on SportsGrid on a Monday night. This is going to be a heck of a basketball game. This is one of the more fun college basketball environments in the Big 12. Home favorite, KU with a top 10 ranking. But I got my cover. Duke wins and covers the 7.
You buried the lead. That was the craziest little stretch of like mid-February basketball, college basketball. It's on 6. There's a foul. He misses the front end of the one-on-one. They get the offensive rebound. It falls 8. After he misses the 3, you get the dribble out. You're screaming. It was exciting.
It's so good too because it goes like the whole day, which is great because like the guys who listen to the Daily Juice podcast, my other pod, are all watching it. And then they go and watch us on BVB, and now they're all watching us here. And so someone just sent me a DM and just said, "This was crazy. Listening to you in the morning, watching you and Dave talk about it on BVB, and then you guys talking about it live as the game is coming down the line." He goes, "It was really fun to go through all levels of this. Where like I listened to your breakdown, Dave gives his take on BVB, you guys talk about it, and then we get to watch us literally sweat the end of that game, which was an insane cover by Duke, laying 7, wins by 8, and the kid misses the front end of a 1-and-1, and they dribble it out to win by 8. Like that was
crazy.
Unbelievable.
The names change, the uniforms change, but you start. I mean, for as long as many years as I've done this, like you see the patterns. We gave you that it's going to fall 6, 7, or 8. You're trying to mush it. This is done. This is done. I can't win this. Oh, well, that was dead. And I know what you're doing. It's fun to watch it. I enjoy watching the games like this. You know, I'll still watch a whole college basketball game, but do you like watching the whole game, or do you prefer to watch like the back end of it, just like we just did live here? Because we've got people coming into the space. We're bringing all this group together, you know, between the Juice, the BVB, and everything we're doing here on SportsGrid. I don't know if people can commit to a whole game, but they sure love watching the end of these games.
Yeah, I love watching college basketball in general. I'm just a college basketball fan. I always have been. So, you know, people say, do you want to watch college football or the NFL? I generally lean towards the NFL, but I love college football. If I'm picking between college basketball and the NBA, it's not even a question. I'm picking college basketball. It's way more fun. It's a more fun handicap than the NBA. The kids play hard. There's never any load management. There's not any nonsense, technical foul crap and weird plays and strange ego plays and guys hate guys. And so they're not going to pass the basketball type of stuff. There's fewer games in college basketball than in the NBA. So, I mean, bless people. You bet the NBA every night. I'm envious because last year I couldn't miss in the NBA. This year I can't pick a game to save my life. I've just hit my 10th and 12 games in college basketball. I'm 10-2 over the last 7 days. Give me more college basketball left and right. It's an easier handicap at times, but this year it's just home teams win and home teams cover. It's really almost that easy. It's 12-4 Texas Tech already out of the gate. The Tech fans are going bonkers.
I think it's going to continue along those ways too, like where college football is changing so much. I mean, day by day, guys are taking jobs, guys are leaving other jobs. I mean, last week, Super Bowl week, Chip Kelly left UCLA. He's going to go be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. I just saw today that Deshaun Foster, who I remember was one of my favorite running backs for UCLA back in the day, is now going to be the head coach. I feel like college basketball, despite the fact that, I mean, I keep hearing that the regular season doesn't matter. It does matter. They get experience to be ready to play in March. Now, do the games matter? It's seeding, but
it's huge.
I think it's great, and it's so much fun to be at the games with the bands and the home courts.
Yeah.
And, I think you get the officiating. You get a little better feel for it in college than pro. I don't know. We grew up in an era when college basketball was unbelievable between the Big East, the ACC. We saw some really good college basketball. It was an absolute must on a night like tonight. Big Monday was it. There was a Big East game.
Yeah.
There was a Big 12 game. And now, we got the ACC game first, but then we got the Big 12 game coming up. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of them, I've learned many lessons from you over the years talking gambling with you, but one of the things that, it all evens out. So yesterday I could whine and cry about the Niners and look, I had a Chiefs teaser that hit. I took the Chiefs plus 3.5 in game. So I was fine there, but you could take a bad beat on the Niners minus 1.5 yesterday, just because of the missed extra point, and who knows how that game winds up going. But then a kid on a team that is the number one free throw shooting team in college basketball has a 1-1. If he hits both, Duke dribbles it out and they win by 6. Misses the front end, ball goes to Duke, they dribble it out, they win by 8. I bet the same amount on the Niners minus 1.5 that I bet tonight on Duke minus 7. Yep. It all evens itself out. So I'm betting 1.1 units on the Niners, 1.1 units on Duke. It's just, in the gambling space, this is where I think as people get more educated and people hear you talk and people like me learn from people like you, and we start to see how things are going, you start to understand that the Super Bowl, for how great it is and how fun it is to bet all the props and everything else, it's just a game. It's just one game. It's just one game.
This is why you're educating and speaking at light speed. This is like what somebody would say after 20 years in the business. It is just another game. There's a lot of pageantry. It's really cool. The anthem is great. The halftime show is unbelievable most times. And the game, most of the time, doesn't live up to the billing. Yesterday's did. But it is just another game. We turn the page and it's Monday. And we were talking last night a little bit about what are you looking at tomorrow? And it was like, Knights Wild, Kansas, Texas Tech, point spread, side, total, money line. It's a different sport, yes, but it's the same thing. So I don't know. It's fun to really see and move forward because, that's why I asked Taylor, what is she looking forward to? Baseball's coming up. I mean, a lot of books while we were working and doing shows all week put out their season wins numbers. They put out all the odds to win divisions and things like that. I was out looking around in books over the weekend for guys like Roxy and guys like Gil, who used to come in the books Super Bowl weekend when you were buried with props. And they would go, what do you have on the Minnesota Twins season win total? Try to sneak in those things. I'll almost put a tweet out. We're at a baseball season win snipers this weekend in Vegas. I want to meet up just to give me one, because when we would be behind the counter, they would throw one at you, say, look at this one or look at that one. So it's fun. It's fun. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I've heard the discussion that college basketball is wide open. as it could possibly be in the last. You agree with that, right? I mean, it is
100%.
wide open to win it all.
Yeah, so I bought 4 tickets so far, future-wise. I've got a 30-1 in Creighton, a 20-1 in Marquette, an 11-1 on Arizona, and a 9-1, I think it is. I could check on North Carolina. So, but I don't feel good about any of those. Those are 2 1 seeds. I mean, that's North Carolina and Arizona. Those are 2 1 seeds. In a 3 seed, in a 5 or a 6 seed. I mean, those, and I don't feel great. I'm going to hedge off all of that. That's not. I don't expect any one of those 4 teams, although Carolina could win the whole thing. It's more about hedge positions and getting into a spot where I can hedge off of the bet. But I can't wait, because Purdue, you put a gun to my head right now and say who wins it all, Purdue's going to do what Virginia did. You lose in the first round, turn around, win the whole thing. That's going to be Purdue here. If I had to pick one team,
really,
they have a 7'4" kid that's unguardable. I mean, straight up unguardable. Like you can't prepare for Zach Edey. He's too darn big. Take a look at what's happening across the NBA, NHL as well. In-game live. Don't move here on a Monday night.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
My goodness, if the Bucks come out strong and certainly make a point to say, look, even though we have been playing our best basketball, we're here to beat you down. And that's a big-time win for the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'll say 12 or more years of suffering. The last, take a look. Go look at it yourself. After Bear Bryant, all they did was lose.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The Early Line,
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback,
Perrault
backup quarterback.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live,
Just
prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
In the bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
good betting.
Night.
We waited for a 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like a 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
In-game live Monday night. Dave Sharapan and Matt Perrault with you here on SportsGrid as we continue looking at the NBA, college basketball, and NHL slate. So, Dave, right now it's a 9-point lead here for TCU, laying 12.5 at close, now laying 12.5 right, though it's now an 11-point lead, 58-47 over West Virginia, 15 minutes to play in that game. We're early with Texas Tech and Kansas. It's a 12, and KK just scored 12 points up here, still a 3.5 point number for Texas Tech, 138.5 total, which is pretty much what we expected, a pretty low-scoring game coming up here for that one. The NBA has got some interesting numbers currently. It's 120 to 119. The Sixers up by 1 on the Cavaliers, 10 seconds to play. They were 10-point dogs, Dave. 10-point dogs.
Yep.
We win the game outright.
I'm telling you, be very cautious this week laying numbers with favorites. It's a strange week. The books know that everybody might be a little bit flush this week after Kansas City won. So you're probably going to see no bargains on favorites and maybe a little bit extra. We talked about it with the Knicks. Their price changed a little bit after the trade deadline. And things like that are stuff to look for. Before we talk a little bit more about the basketball, I just wanted to ask you, did you see the Steelers move, what they did today by any chance?
Sure. They booted Mitch Trubisky. Bye-bye. Thanks for coming.
They did. Does that mean are they going to do this Justin Fields thing? Like when you look at
I love it. I mean, for Pittsburgh, I love it. Because look, one, when you play in Pittsburgh, you have to be able to handle the elements. Can you play in the cold?
Yes.
Justin Fields can play in the cold. Ohio State kid, Bears quarterback. The question is just going to be the asking price. I mean, I wouldn't give up more than a 3rd-round pick for him. He's worth more than that, but the Bears are stuck. If the Bears are taking Caleb Williams, if that's what they're going to do, taking a quarterback with the first pick and they're starting over again, well, I think they're over a barrel at the moment with Justin Fields. So I wouldn't, give up much if I was the Steelers. I mean, 3rd-round pick is still a pretty good, haul there, but the Bears need to rid themselves of the cap hit that's coming here.
Right.
So, I mean, they owe Justin Fields. And I mean, that's the thing with the Steelers is like, okay, are they going to extend him? Are they going to trade a lot for him and then extend him? And it Fields comfortable going in saying, yes, I'll take the extension, pick up my 5th-year option, and then have a longer extension. I mean, are you comfortable with Justin Fields being your quarterback for the next 5 years?
I'm comfortable for the next 3. If it was 3. I feel like 3 is enough time to know or not know and then just say, okay. 5's a long time. I mean, I didn't know when I gave my wife, we're coming up on 20 years, when I gave her the ring, I was thinking in 5-year increments. I really was. I was like, all right, we're going to get through that first 5. I told her. I said, we're good. Yeah. But it's a lifetime contract, but there's almost a renewal clause every 5 years. Coming up on 20. Probably like minus, I told her we were joking, but I don't know if we're joking, or like minus 150 to make it to 21. It's a good number. It's a fair number. No, I'm just saying. She ain't watching the show anyway. Hope she is. All right. But no, I am good with it. I think the Steeler fans there's a lot of hesitation. Nobody knows what to do right now, right? Like, is it Kenny? Mason Rudolph came in at the end and messed everything up in a good way.
No.
Like, what?
Yeah.
What do you say?
It's not Kenny. Neither one of those guys is the option, is the answer.
Oh.
So I would keep Pickett as a backup. I mean, I think he's like Mac Jones. They're both backup quarterbacks, long-time backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Nothing wrong with that. They'll make a good living. They don't want to, but I mean, a lot of backup singers wind up wanting to be the front man, and they can't be. So, like, it's how it is.
True.
You're a backup. That's what you are. You're a backup singer. You're a backup quarterback. That's what you are. And you're on the stage. You're in the NFL. You're making money. I mean, making big money. So, it's not the worst job in the world to hold a clipboard and, play 1 or 2 games a year. But if I'm a Steeler fan, I'm excited if it's Kenny Fields.
Yeah, we saw Charlie Batch at the media center. Charlie had a nice career as a backup in Pittsburgh, and he looks great. His knees don't hurt. It's not the worst thing in the world. It might be the worst thing in the world while you're doing it, but like longevity wise, give me an opportunity to be a backup, compete for the starting job, be ready to go if somebody gets hurt. I think as long as you accept the role once you are given it or earn it, whatever it is, it can be a pretty decent life. But
I mean,
I don't
Brian
know.
Hoyer. Brian Hoyer has been on how many
40,
teams?
right?
He's cashing check after check. I cannot wait to see his career earnings, what Brian Hoyer will have pulled down playing for the Patriots, playing for the Raiders, playing for, I think, the Colts.
Browns.
I mean, guys played for like Browns. Played for like 7 teams. Like, it's ridiculous how many teams.
At one point, yeah. He's been all over the place.
I mean, look how much money that guy's pocketed without getting hit. Please, sign me up. You want to give me that offer? Let's go.
Who was Patrick Mahomes' backup up until last year? What was his name? Chase Daniel?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Missouri, yeah.
Yeah.
Same
That's
deal.
a pretty nice gig, right?
It's a great gig. I mean, look, so if you can accept the role, I mean, it's a great point. You have to accept the role. If you're playing behind an all-time great like a Brady or a Mahomes or someone that you're not going to play, I'm not sure Kenny Pickett. Oh, it's Chad Henning too. Yeah, Chad Henning too. Chad Henning was back up for Mahomes forever as well. But I mean, I look at Kenny Pickett and I ask myself, does Kenny Pickett see himself as a backup quarterback? Because my gut would tell me no. My gut would say that he's a young kid who started for 2 years, who wants the chance to go prove himself, who most likely is not going to sign up for a Justin Fields starting position, him backing him up.
Right.
So you're going to be probably the whole room's probably going to be new next year, all 3 quarterbacks. But I mean, look, the craziest story that came out of Media Week that I continue to not believe, but the biggest rumor right now is that Mac Jones is going back to the Patriots as their starting quarterback.
Return of the Mac. I love that song. That's right. That'd be one of my.
I asked my Patriot media that I saw. I pulled him aside and I said, "Come here. What's going on? There's no way, right? Like this is not happening, right?" And they said, "No. Gerard Mayo really believes that this is a guy he can fix. That it was Bill, it was the offense, it was the coordinators, it was not Mac. The problem, it's not Mac Jones. That he's going to get him weapons. They're going to draft a wide receiver high, maybe not third, but they're going to draft a wide receiver high in the draft to be Mac's weapon. They're going to run the ball. Ramondre Stevenson comes back. He'll be healthy. They're going to run the ball and play Gerard Mayo smash mouth football." And I was like, you're kidding me. Like, really? Like the fan base. I want Gerard Mayo to be successful as a Patriot fan. I would love the guy to be just like DeMeco Ryan and come in and just set the world on fire.
Yeah.
But my goodness gracious. I think you take a quarterback. If you keep the 3rd pick, you take one of the 3. Whoever of Daniels, May, Caleb, whoever's there, you draft, in my opinion.
2 things. One, I've seen you do that before where you go, "Come here." Like, come here. I see you doing that to like Curran or somebody like that, going, "What are you doing here? What are they doing?" But 2, at this point, the Patriots are in that post-Belichick era, okay? The hope for a quick turnaround is, let's pause a little bit on that. It might be Mac to return until we're ready to put a quarterback behind that offensive line. Mate, we got to go get a weapon. We got to go get somebody to catch the ball, get open.
Yeah.
They didn't have a receiver legitimately to get open at all.
No.
They got a running game, but then, when you get an injury or 2 on defense, you can't keep them on the field. So the thought process
the Patriots
right.
defense was but see, the Patriots defense last year was really good, even after Matthew Judon and Christian Gonzalez both got hurt. So I think the Patriots
as good. It was really good with those 2 in there.
Top 5.
There was a
top 5 defense. Yeah, they're top 1 or 2 defensive in the league, and they became top 5. I mean, it wasn't a big drop off. They were still really tough to score on and really tough to play. If Mayo's going to, and everyone was saying that wasn't Belichick, that was Gerard Mayo who did that. That's why he got the job, because the defense is going to be the same. That expect the defense to continue to develop. It's the offense he needs help with. And look, they hired the Van Pelt guy to run the offense now, coming over from the Browns. We'll see who the quarterback is. But I think the Steelers and the Patriots, the entire AFC, they're all in the same spot. How do you beat Mahomes? That should be the only question you're asking is, how do you beat Patrick Mahomes? How do you stop the Chiefs and build your team in the way you want to do that? Because offensively, the Chiefs are going to only get better because Rice was a rookie. Defensively, if Chris Jones leaves, they're going to be much worse. But let's see what ends up happening. Niners, your odds-on favorite to win it again, to get back. Chiefs at 650. Save your money. Don't bet the Chiefs.
Oh, you did it last year. You said they wouldn't repeat. If you can't beat them, join them. What the hell? I don't know.
You're a Steeler fan. What are you doing? More to come. In-game live. Matt and Dave with you on a Monday night.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
My goodness, if the Bucks come out strong and certainly make a point to say, look, even though we have been playing our best basketball, we're here to beat you down. And that's a big-time win for the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'll say 12 or more years of suffering. The last, take a look. Go look at it yourself. After Bear Bryant, all they did was lose.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The Early Line,
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Perrault
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
You have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live,
Just
prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
good betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We
for
did.
duration. Did the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting, ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
In-game live on a Monday night. Time to talk to our guy, Cam Stewart. Matt and Dave with you here on Sports Grid. Cam, how are you? How did the Super Bowl go for you last night?
Matt, a lot of some good, some bad. You know what I mean? And
Me too.
The teasers were great because I was telling everybody, let's just tease the game 4 ways, and we did, and everything middled. So that was fun. But, I can't lie. I was on San Francisco, and I thought they'd win the game.
Me too.
Really tight game, had them to win between 1 and 6. Things looked really, really good for a while. And I will say this, though, my George Kittle props went down the toilet like Cottontail. Just absolute, or I don't know what's the popular brand there, but I don't know, Northern Charmin? Does Charmin work? Anyway,
Charmin,
he was a go. He was a go. Yeah, Charmin's a great toilet paper, nice and soft. But anyway, that didn't work out very well. Some of the props were good, but I can't lie to you guys. I had Kittle everywhere. Like I had him like over yards, receptions, a lot of stuff with George Kittle. But hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Got to give Kansas City a lot of credit, And I went up to my buddy when we're doing the live betting show and the live look show, and I go, "We're dead." The minute Kansas City got the ball back, I go, "We're done." Like I tried to abort, and the books knew too, and the line went up so much. I'm like, I can't abort. It's like a golf tournament when your guy's too far gone, and I'm like, whatever happens is going to happen now, and you guys know. So kudos to the Kansas City bettors. I know there's a lot of people out there, but I just think San Francisco killed themselves. They had a great thing going with McCaffrey, and me and Matt talked about it, Dave, in the break. Like, you run this guy into the ground like a horse, like what happened to our horse, Conflict Diamond. Don't throw to guys that are injured. He's the guy you can trust. That little pitch play to McCaffrey, he's getting 5-6 yards, falling forward every time. Just do it till they can't stop it. And unlike that, Andy Reid and the Chiefs are confident. They, Kelsey started to get his act going, and man, the 49ers in the first half played a perfect game. Mahomes was getting sacked. I'm like, this is great. This is the script we were waiting for, and they just couldn't pull away. So, you know what, guys? I'm going to say this, though, Dave. San Francisco, power outage game with my boy Visine Vince. We're in the parking lot crying. Me, Andy Ixco, blessing everybody. First Super Bowl game with Jimmy Garoppolo versus Chiefs in the parking lot, Sunset Station, crying. This year, outside, waiting for a $180 Uber, crying. I'm not betting on this team anymore in the finals. You know what, Vince? I'm done. I've been a friend for a long time. I can't let my financial heartbreak be your emotional stabilizer. I don't care. I'm not betting on this team in a big game anymore. I'm sorry. I'm done. It's kind of like the Bills. Like, there's only so much I can take, and I'm at my end's wits with these guys.
It's weird because Travis Kelce's become so incredibly unlikable really fast that the one thing the Patriots didn't do is they really didn't turn full heel. Like, everyone hated them, but they never leaned into it. Like Kelce, there's video of him last night here in Vegas on a stage waving goodbye to Niner fans, singing hey, goodbye to Niner fans. Like, really rubbing it in, like right after the game's over. Like, all they did was go to the club just to have a good time. And there's Kelce rubbing it in their face that they lost the Super Bowl in overtime. It's remarkable to watch. I really wonder how this is going to go next year, because his act is starting to wear thin with a lot of people. And that's not really a good place to be when you're as marketable or could be as marketable as him at the moment. You disagree, Dave?
It's a great point, guys, but I don't think they care anymore. I just don't think they care. And I don't think they care what you think. I think Sharapan thinks they're their own little sphere like a snow globe, and they don't care about the outside world. They couldn't care about whatever anybody in the media or whatever thinks. But I will tell you this. A wise man told me once in sports, win with class, lose with class. And now you're going to be in a situation down the line, bro, when you're feeling really good about yourselves and somebody's going to knock your teeth out. So get ready for it, man. You want to play the cocky card? Do it. Do it. We'll see how it works out for you a couple years down the line. Congratulations on your Super Bowl titles. But if you want to walk into a season with a sport like this and have a cocky attitude, somebody's going to knock you off the pedestal. And I can tell you, that's fact.
That's actually exactly what's going to happen. The division, by the way, Harbaugh's coaching the Chargers. Hello. Okay. Sean Payton is coaching the Denver Broncos. Hello. We got veteran coaches now to stabilize situations that weren't really stable in the past couple of years. Still don't know what the hell's going on here in Vegas. I really don't. But they're going to figure it out. The division's hard enough. And you always have to say, like last segment, Perrault said it you have to figure out a way to beat the Chiefs when you're in the AFC, whether it's the Bills, whether it's the Ravens, whether it's the Bengals with Joe Burrow coming back. Everybody's coming for the Chiefs next year.
I'm on Perrault's side here. This is a team that doesn't outplay anybody and win. The Patriots used to murder guys. They murdered teams. Like, they mean, mercy. You're up 45. They destroyed them in every category. Buffalo can outplay them. Baltimore killed themselves. San Francisco outthought themselves. They don't play a game where, like, oh, we're so dominant, but they find a way to win. That's the most frustrating part. Can't somebody step up in a pressure situation and cut the cord? No. That's the thing. And I hate the Patriots. And Matt, I respect them. But you know what? They were a better team because they killed people. They murdered them. And Tom Brady did it with a smile. He did it with, and they didn't dance afterwards. They just said, we beat the crap out of you. Enjoy it.
That was Belichick, right? I mean, that's where Bill, look, if Gronkowski ever hit Belichick in the middle of a game, I don't know what the hell would have happened to the sidelines with the Patriots.
I mean, three either. Is this thing over or what?
God, please tell me it's over. That was so bad. No one's even talking about it today. It was incredible. That was so awkward that no one's even bringing that up as to how that whole thing went.
Here?
I mean,
it's like
it looked like you missed it on purpose.
Pepper cans where guys are shot putting balls into the can. Can't we come up with something new? These brain trusts, put us in the boardroom after a couple drinks. Unbelievable. But anyway, Chiefs win, San Francisco loses, and what are you going to do? That's
how quick, Cam, do you, because Dave and I were mentioning it, like for me, it's I'm on to Monday. Like I'm on to the slate today. Like I just,
me too.
I love betting the Super Bowl. I love betting all the props. I love betting a ton, but it's like, it's another day. It's a game and we go, right? And now we're on to Monday. That's the life of a gambler, right? That we're just moving on to the next day.
Different. Yeah. No, I honestly, I left that building. It was already done till I said, oh, it's going to cost me $180 on Uber Super Surge. I'm like, I just went and I worked on Super Bowl. I'm like, then I started snapping. Then I said, like Usain Bolt, I'm going to sprint down and see if I can catch the last train to somewhere close to me and then take a cab because I'm not paying $180 plus, not including the $15% tip that you minimum have to give the guy, even if he doesn't even know where the hell you're going. Oh, dude, my complex is a joke. They always get lost. But anyway, I found my way home at about 2:30 in the morning. And Matt, know what I was doing when I woke up this morning? I had an espresso and said, what are we betting in hockey, the NBA, and college?
There you go.
Amen to that. So let's talk. Vegas and Minnesota on the ice. Short price with the Knights. I got to tell you, I'm a little bit worried about this one because I look at lines and I go, Jack, shout out to you, brother. Rangers got it done for me. Had a parlay. I did the old New York two-step tonight. New York Rangers, New Jersey Devils. Ding, 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 ding. It never works for Toronto teams, but I decided, and maybe if the Islanders were playing, I would have done the New York triple. We'll try that one night. But anyway, it worked. So now we're doing this. Kansas and Texas Tech. I'm on Texas Tech in this game. Before game 3. And what else did I take tonight? I'm looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves +5. Shout out to my boy Carver, who hit Nick the Dennis Taylor, 90-1 first round leader and 18-1 live in the tournament last week at the Waste Management. My guy finished 2nd and 4th like they usually do. But anyway, I'm a player on
down there at Waste Management. It's 500,000 people. What the hell is going on down there?
Here's the difference, Dave. When you see me drink, I'm hugging, I'm dancing, I'm looking for horse tickets, and I love everyone. Like, hey, man, come to Canada, come party at my place. If you need a couch to sleep, I'm your guy. Some people drink. They decide to, jump from rafter to rafter. Maybe try, test their luck. Want to go through a table? Maybe it'll hurt. Maybe it won't. That's the whole problem with alcohol. Kind of like everything. People have a tolerance. And this tournament just has turned. When you get guys who are older and stuff doing shotguns at 7 o'clock in the morning and hanging there all day, bad things are probably going to happen. I'm actually surprised the place hasn't been torched yet, but they're going to work on it. I don't know what they're going to do in the future, but I don't want them to take the fun away from the tournament. But we also have to worry about public safety where people are almost dying at a tournament. So we kind of got to revamp the situation. The whole problem with golf is the other tournaments are so damn boring. This one turns into basically like a music festival minus the fire. Like it's got everything else. Like I'm just waiting for scaffolding to fall down. And it's just like those guys, they're lit. I watch that. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, it's okay. So I'm up at This is 8 o'clock in the morning, and this guy's like drinking like shots of vodka. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're at an after hours club. I'm like, whoa, that's a dangerous recipe all day. These guys are flammable.
Will that impact your handicap at all next year if they really play with the tournament?
No, it won't impact my handicap because I think a lot of guys like Tagala, who I had to win, I don't think he cares. It's just one of those things. I'm really surprised. I will say this. Nick Taylor won the Canadian Open on a 90-foot putt, and he won the Waste Management. I have never seen a guy miss every fairway and get it up and down from bunkers, obstructions, and he didn't get free lifts either. Like he hit shots that I'm like, oh my God, how did this guy do this? Like he out Scheffler. That's Scheffler's move to hit like hero shots like Tiger Woods used to do. I told Carver, I go, you need Canadian citizenship. You've hit this guy twice. You should come to Canada, you and Nick Taylor. Like, we'll go party. Like, this guy's amazing. University of Washington from BC. Morency's, he's just outside of where Morency's living, Abbotsford. Great guy, too. Good for him, man. I'm happy that he won the tournament. He's a real clutch player.
At any live stuff. We were going to go.
I actually am now, Dave. I actually am looking at live stuff
I had passes to go to the live tournament. We chose not to go because it was so windy and cold. And I was like, I can't risk getting sick for the Super Bowl for the weekend.
Oh,
so we took a pass. But they had a pretty decent field, and they ate that course up. Did you watch any of the live and learn anything from live this weekend?
But I also have a couple guys on live we're going to look at. And the best thing about live is there's a lot of these European guys that people think are dead. They're actually very much alive and playing in live. So we're getting guys like Paul Casey at numbers now. Like I used to bet him at 30. You can get him on the live at like 40. And it's lesser fields and it's a 3-round event. Good on DJ. I didn't think he had it in him. Like, you know what I mean? But he looks like he turned a corner there. Joaquin Neiman's another player to watch on live. But Dave, I'm going to be paying more attention to this stuff now because I'm looking at the numbers and thinking we're actually getting great value because it's not like the PGA Tour with 160 guys. There's less guys in a field. And once we can kind of figure out some things, we can make money in this thing, especially if we can do top 10s and all that stuff on that tour, we can make a killing because we only have to knock a few guys out. But we'll see if a lot of the sports books right now, they're a little tentative with all their offerings, if you get my drift.
That's the thing. I went around and talked to a couple guys that do the golf. Their prices are so different from book to book because there's a lot of guesswork being done. So if you see anything, you have to let me know because they want to put it up.
The American guys, know what I've noticed? All the known players, the popular guys, their numbers are too low, where world-class players that you forgot about are much too high. And the young and up-and-comers that aren't American, like Neiman. Like Joaquin Neiman's one of the best golfers in the world. I know who he is. I bet on him the week after the last Super Bowl when I won at 60-1 when he played in this tournament coming up, the Genesis. So I know a lot of these guys. Don't worry, Dave. We'll be in touch. You and Matt and me, we're going to make money on this live tour. Don't worry about it. You guys taking Vegas and hockey? I need to figure this out. It's the last game of a parlay, too. I don't want to hedge.
I like under.
Yeah, let's go the over.
I like 5.5. He likes under.
Let's rock!
Cam, love you. Thank you. More to come. We'll wrap in-game live next year on SportsGrid.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
my goodness, if the Bucks come out strong and certainly make a point to say, look, even though we have been playing our best basketball, we're here to beat you down. And that's a big-time win for the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'll say 12 or more years of suffering. The last, take a look. Go look at it yourself. After Bear Bryant, all they did was lose.
Perrault Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The Early
race
Line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback, backup
Perrault
quarterback.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
You have
decisions.
no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they need.
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports
That
Rage
was good
Late
betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We
information. Did like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Last couple of minutes with Dave and I here on InGame Live. You guys are going to get us tomorrow night. We're going to be in for Gabe for Sports Rage tomorrow, and then Friday back here for InGame Live as well. So a lot of us, obviously BVB on the replay at late night here on SportsGrid. So if you don't really like Dave and I, you're going to get a lot of Dave and I here over the next couple of days here on SportsGrid. So sorry on that. The Sixers won the game outright, Dave. 10-point dogs. Outright W.
So we got 3 games, right? So far, final in the NBA. Charlotte beat Indiana. Charlotte was a 10-point dog. Philly beat the Cavs. They were an 11-point dog. And San Antonio beat Toronto. They were a 6.5-point dog. Be very, very cautious this week laying numbers with favorites. It's not going to be a good week for that. Look to take dogs, take some money line. Take your shots. Get into the
Just
hockey.
avoid it. Bet college. Duke.
College
covered.
basketball, though.
TCU covers. Texas Tech up by 11 on their way to cover. It's going to be another sweep. I have not gotten a college basketball bet wrong since last Monday.
See, now,
serious.
This is what somebody that would normally that gets that, they wouldn't even mention that. But
I don't care about this BS.
I know. I've seen it. I've lived it. I'm with you.
No jinxes, no nonsense. I don't care. I'm going to bet it tomorrow. If I go 0-3 tomorrow, I go 0-3 tomorrow. It's got nothing to do with whether I said it out loud or not. I'm the one handicapping it.
This is what he does.
I was
Jackie
9-2.
Just no hitters in baseball season. He says doesn't matter. It does matter, but it's right there in front of his face. He just says it.
No hitter.
He's rolling. He's hot. Shooters shoot their shot. I'm just going to keep feeding you the ball. You just keep hitting that college basketball. Big card tomorrow. We got a lot of games tomorrow.
I got my blue jersey. I got my blue jacket ready to go tomorrow night for North Carolina tomorrow night. Let's go Tar Heels.
North Carolina. We'll be ready.
Dave, Matt, talk to you tomorrow for Sports Rage, 10 o'clock Eastern. BVB late night tonight. Sports Rage next.